Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann takes place this weekend on the main card of UFC Fight Night Vegas 11, Covington versus Woodley, and I can't wait for this matchup. This card is so stacked. I can't believe how many great fights are on this card. It's almost better than 253. Walker versus Spann is a great matchup in the light heavyweight division. Who is going to be the new prospect in the light heavyweight division, really, and who is going to sort of sink backwards and really need to reconsider some things in the case of Johnny Walker, because right now he's on a 2-fight losing streak, and if he loses this one as well, it's going to be a real difficult situation. 3 losses in a row, especially if he loses it by KO, which can easily happen against Ryan Spann. It's a dangerous fight for both guys, but Ryan Spann's in a better situation. He's riding high on a win streak right now, although his last performance wasn't too impressive against Sam Alvey. He's still got a win against Sam Alvey. He's on a win streak. If he loses this one, he can go back, fight someone again. He's still young in his career, but Walker, this is all on the line. I like Johnny Walker's chances in this fight. Recently, the hype has somewhat diminished, but I still think he's a very good fighter. And listen, here's the thing about that funny old thing called hype. They still did what they did. Okay, Johnny Walker still went out there, clinched up with Khalil Roundtree and battered him with elbows in the first round. Johnny Walker still went out there, regardless of how much hype was behind him or not, and went out there and beat Misha Cirkunov with a flying knee inside the first round. Oh, by the way, Misha Cirkunov just beat Jimmy Crute, who's the next big thing in the light heavyweight division, or one of the next big things in the light heavyweight division as well. These things just didn't happen. Just because Corey Anderson caught Johnny Walker with a punch, and Nikita Krylov, the Savage, who's a great guy in that light heavyweight division, who's a little bit of a dark horse, because let's be real, looking at what Teixeira's been doing to people recently, a split decision loss to Teixeira from Krylov isn't looking too bad, I'll be honest with you guys. Krylov's a dangerous man. I think Johnny Walker's going to go out there and get Ryan Spann out of there in the first round by TKO. Vicious finish. Ryan Spann is a guy who has been KO'd a couple of times in his career before. He got KO'd by Carl Roberson. He's been finished by Robert Drysdale. He's been KO'd by Brandon Farran, a guy who was 11-8 at the time, but still, Ryan Spann has grinded his way through his career. He's had some losses. He's bounced back. He eventually went on a big enough win streak to get his chance on the Contender Series, won it there. Then he moved on to Luis Enrique, beat him by unanimous decision, and he went on to beat Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, which I don't really put too much weight behind at this point. KO'd him in the first round, very dangerous, but even them looked a little bit ploddy, little bit slow, little bit lethargic, and then against Devin Clark, he was losing the fight, but eventually got the finish on Devin Clark, which is a big win. Devin Clark is a big win, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but Devin Clark is a dangerous guy in that light heavyweight division. He is a real gatekeeper because he's very good. He can beat a lot of guys, like the legend himself, Darko Stojic, the greatest fighter of all time, but just only certain people get through, and only recently, Jan Blachowicz, Alexander Rakic have been the only people to beat Devin Clark in the past, 3-4 years since he joined the UFC, so I don't know. Ryan Spann is in that mix as well, perhaps, which is a pretty decent group of people to be amongst. Jan Blachowicz fighting for the belt. Alexander Rakic 1 fight away from the belt. So Ryan Spann could be the real deal. I just think his last performance mainly, which is something I really want to talk about against Sam Alvey. I really hope he had staph infection or something. I pray to God he had staph infection. I hope someone mentioned something like that, but he did not look good. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't like he didn't even look good. He just didn't look like... If Ryan Spann was to beat Johnny Walker, in my opinion, you should dismantle Sam Alvey at this point in your career. I just really do believe that. At this point in Sam Alvey's career, 33-13, don't get me wrong, it's a similar enough record to Jorge Masvidal's, but still, I'm sure we can all agree it's at a bit of a different level of competition. But Sam Alvey has been finished so many times recently. At the time, look, he lost to Klidson Farias Diabriu, got KO'd by Jimmy Crute, basically twice in one fight, if you remember that one as well. Got beat by Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira by KO. You're losing to Nogueira by KO at this point. Like, someone, Ryan Spann, please go out there and KO him. I beg of you. And he goes out there and makes it a real close split decision and doesn't look that good. I'm going to go with Johnny Walker here. He's pretty good. And even in his loss to Nikita Krylov, he lost the fight very clearly, don't get me wrong, but Krylov's very good. Very, very good fighter. Beat OSP, which now looks even better because Krylov originally lost to OSP but then came back and beat him more recently. That's looking really good right now. OSP coming off a big KO win against Alonzo Menifield. Like, some of the wins that Johnny Walker has gotten, and even the guys that he's faced that he's lost to, are just on a different level to the ones that Ryan Spann has looked not so good against in Sam Alvey. I feel as though Johnny Walker's going to be too quick for him in the first round, too switched on, and I also feel as though, I want to talk about this, He has a massive reach advantage as well, by the way, which is something I should obviously mention. Let me go check it right now. Not a massive one, but a 3-inch reach advantage in the light heavyweight division. He's a long-rangey guy, and he plays to his range as well. And Ryan Spann is not a guy who's used to fighting someone taller than him, not used to fighting someone who's rangier than him either. I think that's going to be a bit of a problem and a bit of a check for Ryan Spann, because Johnny Walker, when you're the big rangy guy, you have the advantage of always facing the same opponent who's less rangy than you and less big than you. But when you're the smaller guy or a medium-sized guy, you get a vast variety of opponents thrown your way, and you've got to change some things up. I just don't think that Ryan Spann's going to win. And also, Johnny Walker moving to SBG is a big deal to me, to be honest with you, because I know that he went to TriStar and he tried to do better at TriStar, and to be fair, he looked okay against Krylov. I'm not taking it away from Faraz Sahabi, but I will say this. Going to SBG might be the best thing to happen, because what is SBG kind of known for right now? Of all the fighters that train at SBG, you think about some names. Confidence. You know, when you're on a 2-fight losing streak, maybe go into an environment like SBG, which is surrounded by just the most basically confident and bigging themselves up fighters in the world, probably out of any gym. I say SBG probably breeds the more mentally confident fighters. So I feel as, you've got Makwan Amirkhani, James Gallagher trains there as well, trains with John Kavanagh, but also trains back at Strabane as well in his hometown, but he trains there at SBG. And then you've got Conor McGregor, of course, as well, Makwan. It kind of breeds that environment, and I feel like it's good for Johnny Walker right now to just probably get a bit of an ego boost. Get some win behind your sails. You've lost 2 in a row. You got KO'd by Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson lost to a fucking gust of wind and some concrete not too long ago, so that loss is not looking too good. But still, I think that Johnny Walker goes out there and gets it done. I think he feints a lot in the first round. Ryan Spann's a little bit flat-footed for my liking. He doesn't move at all. I think you need to be a guy that moves around quite a bit. You saw Corey Anderson out there against Johnny Walker. A lot of feints, a lot of quick twitch movements. You saw that with Krylov as well. Always had something in Johnny Walker's face. Always had him guessing with something. I think Ryan Spann just waits too long, and he takes too long to ease his way into a fight, because when you look at his career, he takes some time. Watch his fights. He takes a little bit. And I think if Johnny Walker goes out there, throws a couple feints against a flat-footed Spann in the first round, I could see a brutal finish in the first round for Johnny Walker. I think we see a quick KO. Ryan Spann's been KO'd a couple times in his career, and that Sam Alvey fight has left a sour taste in my mouth. Even though Krylov beat Johnny Walker, I have respect for Krylov, so I don't know, dude. He could have lost that Sam Alvey fight. That's a real split decision. That fight could go either way depending on what you value. It's interesting. I think Johnny Walker wins, and if he does win this one, he's in a great position in the light heavyweight rankings, because I'll bring them up right now. It's open season right now. John Jones left the division. Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. Great matchups. Probably Anthony Smith versus Luke Rockhold, or Anthony Smith versus Volkan Ozdemir 2, something like that. But matchups are getting made. Rakic versus Prochaska. There's a bunch of names, and I feel as though if Johnny Walker wins this one, he's probably going to be looking at one more before he gets another jump up the rankings, but there are some good names lingering. And if Johnny Walker wins this one and wants to take on Jiri Prochaska versus Johnny Walker, does that not make you salivate somewhat? If Johnny Walker was smart, he'd call out a Jiri Prochaska or an Alexander Rakic, and Rakic and Prochaska would welcome that, I think. They've got a striker, which is a good matchup for them. It's a big name with a ton of hype that's just broken his loss streak and came and emerged again. I just feel as though big things are on the line. If Ryan Spann wins as well, I think he's going to have to do a little bit more, because people aren't so gravitated towards him as they are with Johnny Walker. It's just sometimes how the fight business works. I think Johnny Walker gets the win in the first round by TKO. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a great matchup, and it's really good. And there's a bunch of good fights at light heavyweight right now. You've got Jimmy Crute taking on Modestas Bukauskas. I don't know how, by the way. Let's talk about the light heavyweight division for a second. I don't know how Modestas Bukauskas has immediately earned a shot against ranked fighter Jimmy Crute. Actually, hang on. Jimmy Crute isn't ranked. He beat Paul Craig, though. And Paul Craig is ranked. And Ankliev's 13. Every time I look at this, how dumb do you have to fucking be to make these rankings? Ankliev lost to Paul Craig. He's 13 and Paul Craig is 15. What? I don't understand. I don't understand the rankings whatsoever sometimes. It just makes no sense to me. But there's good matchups to be made in the light heavyweight division. And listen, the winner of this one 2 fights away from a title shot, I would assume, and I'd like to put him maybe on the main card of a pay-per-view or a headliner of a prelims or a pay-per-view or something like that. But Johnny Walker, little bit too switched on. He's got good range. He's got good control with his hands as well. You'll see him do a lot of feints, a lot of movements, grabbing at the hands. I think Ryan Spann is just a little bit too fucking switched off in that first round. You know, this is kind of how I feel about Nico Price versus Donald Cerrone, which came out earlier today on my channel, by the way. If you want to go check it out, it's just a bit of a slow starter versus a wild, fast starter. It doesn't really end up too good the majority of the time. I'm going to go with Johnny Walker, SBG power, bringing his confidence back and getting the job done, and I'm really looking forward to it, man. Ryan Spann is a savage. I think he has every chance in the world to get this done. I really do believe in him as a prospect. Maybe he had one of the most off nights in the world against Sam Alvey. Who knows? Maybe that's what we find out. Maybe he goes out there, looks better than ever, and KOs Johnny Walker in the first round. I'll be on board if he does do that. But that last performance against Sam Alvey, that's how it makes me feel. I want to throw up everywhere because of it. It's sick. It was a terrible performance. And I'm not picking him. So fuck him. Superman Spann my fucking ass. Johnny Walker's the kryptonite, bitch. See you later. Click that button there. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.